The Knicks continue to remain active on the trade market, looking for different players that they can add to this roster. And obviously, there's been a lot of names linked to the Knicks, but recently, according to an NBA insider, the Knicks are interested in Utah Jazz guard Jordan Clarkson. And not only that, apparently the Jazz are interested in Quentin Grimes. Could there potentially be a trade that happens that sends Grimes to Utah and Clarkson to the Knicks? We're going to break down that report and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks are apparently interested in adding Jordan Clarkson to the roster. Now, early on, I want to say a few weeks ago, there was a report out there that the Knicks were potentially interested in adding Jordan Clarkson to this roster. However, nothing really substantial came out of that, especially because at the time, the Knicks didn't really field any offers for Quentin Grimes and they didn't make him available for trade. Fast forward to now, a couple of weeks later, not only have the Knicks made Quentin Grimes available for trade, now there are certain teams out there that are interested in adding Quentin Grimes to their team. And according to Ian Begley, here are the following teams interested in adding Grimes to their roster. According to Begley, I'm told there are a few teams in particular that have expressed some interest. It is the Hawks, the Jazz, the Rockets, and Memphis. Those are among the teams that have expressed some interest in Grimes. So after this report, we also got the following report from NBA insider Mark Stein, who recently reported that the Knicks are still interested in adding Jordan Clarkson to the roster. Shout out to Mark Stein for reporting the following. New York has expressed interest in Utah Jazz guard Jordan Clarkson via Real GM and originally reported by Mark Stein. The 2021 Sixth Man of the Year could be an intriguing fit for a team that recently traded away two of its most reliable secondary scorers. It should be noted that Clarkson at this point in time is shooting a career low of 30.6% from behind the three-point line and an uninspiring 41.9% overall. However, Clarkson is still an explosive talent who can get buckets in bunches. Pairing the 31-year-old with a fairly experienced group like the New York Knicks could be a tremendous boost to his efficiency, as the Jazz are one of the younger teams in the NBA. As mentioned, Clarkson is 31 years old. He's averaging 17.9 points per game this season. And again, he was a Sixth Man of the Year in the 2020-2021 season. So we have to remember that. That actually speaks to his comfortability coming off the bench and lighting up the scoreboard. Shout out to Mark Stein, a longtime NBA insider, for giving us this following report and update. Honestly, if the Knicks can't get DeJounte Murray, and you guys know where I stand, if you're trading Grimes, you're trading Fournier, and you're trading first-round picks, the player that I want the Knicks to get is DeJounte. But let's say the Hawks are asking for too much, and you're not able to get him, and the Knicks are looking at other potential players. If they wind up getting Jordan Clarkson, I will not be mad at all, because it's the classic example of another player who's on a down year that the New York Knicks might be able to steal, get him on this roster, and maybe a change of scenery changes his outlook and perspective on this season, his game, and his impact. And if he's playing for the Knicks, a contending team in the Eastern Conference, then potentially he'll be more motivated to score, help this Knicks team, and score even more in bunches. And honestly, if you're looking at what the Knicks need right now, they have a great starting unit. Dante DiVincenzo is shooting lights out from three. I love his chemistry with Jalen Brunson. If you're looking at the bench, we're a little bit weak there. Quentin Grimes, not doing what he needs to do. Miles McBride, good, just not great or consistent. And honestly, we have a lot of great role players, but no real consistent other scorer. After losing Emmanuel quickly, nobody really stepped in and filled his role. We thought Grimes was going to do that, but unfortunately, he didn't. Miles McBride has looked a little bit better than Grimes has, unfortunately. But now, if the Knicks are targeting Jordan Clarkson, they can't get DeJounte Murray, and they're looking around the league, looking for other potential names to trade for, I will not be mad at all if they go after and trade for Jordan Clarkson. Because in my opinion, if you can't get DeJounte and you can also get Jordan Clarkson, somebody who can light it up off the bench, somebody who can score in bunches, somebody who can help Jalen Brunson get that rest And honestly, you really need that six man off your bench to help with the scoring so your bench does more damage. Because if your bench is in the game and you can't score in the playoffs, you're going to lose. You need a stronger bench in the playoffs. You need more depth. If you get Clarkson, he will help unlock more of that bench unit as well too, because Josh Hart will not be the person you wait for in the corner to shoot the three. That's going to be Clarkson. You're going to have Josh Hart being able to scramble, hustle, and do the dirty things on the court that you need him to do. That's exactly what he was doing last year and why he was so effective. If Clarkson is added to this team, he'll have the green light off the bench to shoot it, score it, and help the Knicks sustain that offense until Jalen Brunson is ready to come back in the game. That's also going to allow Josh Hart to play his natural role and be that hustler player on the floor that we saw him be last season. He won't be that guy you rely on to shoot threes. And maybe you see Miles McBride be that better two guard for the New York Knicks in the backcourt as well too, because I think he's better at that and his defense will absolutely perform well as being a shooting guard for this Knicks team. Also, let's not forget, he's also shooting very well from three right now. So I wouldn't mind them taking those threes as well, especially when Jordan Clarkson is pulling defenders his way, opening up the lane and the paint for whoever's playing alongside him, whether that be Jalen Brunson at times or whether that be Miles McBride at times. And the best part about Clarkson, you can start him, he can come off the bench. Either way, in my opinion, he'll be effective. He is on a down year, I understand that. But if you're on a down year, potentially, you might be able to get him without giving up a lot of assets. And if you can do that, especially trying to trade with the Utah Jazz and Danny Ainge, I'm all for that. Now, some of you guys may be thinking, Troy, it's Utah. It's Danny Ainge. Do you not remember the Donovan Mitchell situation? I do. I remember it, but I also know that Jordan Clarkson is not at the level of Donovan Mitchell. I also know that Jordan Clarkson's on a down year. And at the end of the day, business is business. We just did a trade with the Toronto Raptors in midst of a lawsuit. If that can happen, anything can happen. So I'm not going to rule a trade off the table between Danny Ainge and Leon Rhodes. I still think that could absolutely happen, especially if the trade makes sense for the Knicks, for Utah, and the price point makes sense for both parties. And I think as we get closer to the trade deadline, it will start to be. So if the Hawks continue to delay trading DeJounte Murray, and they continue to wait to see what the best offer available is that they could potentially get, the New York Knicks may walk away, may look at other teams, and one of the teams they could look at is clearly, absolutely, the Utah Jazz. They could go after Jordan Clarkson, and they can add him to this roster. And in my opinion, if they did that, the Knicks would be better. And if he does that, and Clarkson comes to this Knicks team, and he's effective, he impacts this team, he helps with scoring, he helps stabilize the offense. Honestly, I think this Knicks team could be very, very dangerous in the playoffs. They could go very far. And if you're a star looking at the playoffs, looking at potential teams you could join, if you see this Knicks team in the playoffs, especially if they perform well, they could look like a very attractive destination, not only to a few stars, but many stars around the league. That's when everybody is looking and watching the most. And if the Knicks go far and make a lot of noise in the playoffs, a lot of stars around the league will want to join New York. I'm telling you that now, because New York is already becoming an attractive destination. You want to know why? Because our point guard, Jalen Brunson, is too phenomenal not to see. And he's one of the main reasons New York looks attractive, because I'm sure a lot of players want to play with the talent, the star, the eventual all-star that Jalen Brunson is becoming before our eyes. But what about you guys? What do you think about the New York Knicks potentially being interested in adding Jordan Clarkson to this roster? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.